Okay, so this is our second screencast, and it's putting our crop planning spreadsheet to work here. So I'm just going to go right at it and talk about what I'm doing as I go. So first things first, here in column B, I'm going to put in my crops, like sunflower and pea and radish. I'm just going to put in some of the ones we grow right now. There we go. And those values are all valid for now. With wheatgrass, if small and large bags, if we actually only do large bags, and so it actually works better to put the small bag weight in as same as the large bag price, just for our weight, just for calculations. So let's just put in our customers. Let's just put in Bob and Jane, or Jan. Well, it's called Jan, and we're gonna put a grocer 1 and grocer 2. And restaurant 1, restaurant 2, and Bill, Sarah, Jack. So these are just customers, and they've got varying prices, but most of them the same. 15 for the large bag there, and Jan is also 15 for the large bag. Jane gets them for 13 because she picks them up on a standing order. Our grocers are at $3.75, we'll say. Restaurants, this one's at 15, this one's at 14 because it buys a lot. Those should be large bags. Notice I'm changing my large and small bags as I go, along with pricing. Bill gets small bags for the retail price at $5. Sarah's getting trays, we'll say, at $12. Jack's getting small bags at $5. So we'll just put in a few there, and then some of their orders. So Bob here wants 2 sunflower, 2 pea, 2 radish. Jan here wants 4 large bags of sunflower and 2 buckwheat. Jane wants 4 sunflower and 4 pea. And 2 large bags of wheatgrass. So our grocers are doing, let's say, just 20 of each of these. They're really, really busy. This is a smaller grocer. They just do 10 of each of these. These are small bags. Restaurant 1 does 5 and 5, and this restaurant does 5 and 5 and 5 of these. Bill just does 2 of those and 1 of those. And Sarah does a tray of wheatgrass. She does 2 of those actually. Jack does 2 small sunflower. And Jack, I'm going to put in another way. So Jack also does trays as well. And because the trays, I'm going to put a T there, because the tray changes so much that we actually have Jack as a second entry. So here I put Jack trays, and here I put Jack bags. So that's a way of differentiating those. Maybe a bit of a weakness in the spreadsheet, but you don't get a lot of that. Most people order one type of product most of the time. So now that that information is there, all our sewing information we're going to leave as before in our review. And it's going to do some information, put some information down here. So it calculates our number of small bags. We're looking at sunflower here. So there's the number of small bags, our number of large bags, our total trays, which is none. Just double checking there. Just put in 2 for fun. Jack, so it's in there at 2. So the total small bag equivalence is 148. So the equivalent of 148 small bags, and if we're getting 4 of those small bags per tray, we need to sew 37 trays. So we're going to sew 40 trays, and lot 55B is going to be our lot number. And they're going to grow, and let's say we're actually doing our harvest now. Let's just skip to that, and we're going to input this information here. We're going to say we harvested all 40 trays. We packed our 14 small bags and our 35 large bags. We actually had 1,500 grams left over after our trays. So our yield ended up being 14 and 35, 1,500. So our yield ends up being 3.8. And these 2 trays in here are kind of accounted for in here. So that's pretty much spot on. If I took those 2 trays out, should, I think, correct, 14 and 35. This should actually be That should still come to the same there, so I'm curious why that doesn't work out, but we'll work it out. Oh, because we didn't. There, if I do that. Actual, so it's 35, and actual harvest is 35, and then it all works out the same. So it depends on the number of trays and everything. We actually did 40. If we harvested 35, that would be the same. So, tangent, not the time for tangents. So I would enter all this information. We could maybe do 36 there, and 36 trays there, and 36 trays there, and we put in all that information as well. So I'm not going to repeat that. That's basically how we do our planning. Our large bags are put in there, our small bags, our prices in there, so we've got a good idea of things. It calculates all this stuff for us, and then we put in our harvest and sowing data in the bottom here. And we're always, once again, looking at how our actual yield compares to our projected yield just to make sure those numbers stay the same. So you can see that when I fill in here Tuesday, January 6th section, if I skip ahead here to Tuesday, January 20th, that same information shows up here. And it does that because chances are these are standing orders and it's going to be the same every 2 weeks anyways. It's probably going to be the same this week as well, but for the first week I'd input that information, and what I'll just do is I'll copy this from here just to make it easy, because this is the way you would do it as well. For week 2, so they're the same. These are just standing orders every Tuesday. So now every Tuesday that information is there for every week for the rest of the year basically. So because that's going to be our general numbers on a week-to-week basis. So, but if it comes to this week, if there's a little change, I can just change it. So let's say Bob here actually wants 4 sunflower and actually just 1 pea, and everything else is the same, everything else is the same. Jack decides he wants 2 sunflower trays and 2 pea trays this week, so we add those. And then we bring in a new customer, Sammy, at $15 for large bags, and Sammy gets 1 large sunflower, 1 large radish. So once again, this is all added up at the bottom. I just take a look. Okay, we're going to do 40 of those, and say 38 of those, 37. This can actually be auto-filled as well. We won't get into that now, but that can all be calculated for you as well. So this is basically on a week-to-week basis. I can just go and check, and if nothing changes, I don't need to do anything. I can just go and take a look at my sowing numbers, confirm what I'm going to sow, and carry on from there. So that's Tuesday. Friday, we're going to have to input different numbers because, you know, if you're doing twice a week deliveries, it may change. All our customers and their prices are already added down here. Remember that auto feeds. So yeah, Bob doesn't get, it's like some of these may not even get deliveries. Let's say these 3 don't even get deliveries Friday, but our grocers do. So those would go in there, and these, you know, this grocer as well. And the restaurants do, because they're getting ready for the weekend. And so these are different, yeah, but you know, some of these folks do and some of them don't. And once again, we may have, I'm going to add a new customer here, Billy. Distinct from Bill there at $15 for a large bag. But Billy doesn't get anything on Tuesday. He only gets it on Fridays here. So we put his data down here. He's getting 2 of those and 2 of those and whatnot. So basically same thing. I would do all the same stuff down here to put in my sowing numbers and my lot numbers of my seed, all my harvest data basically, and then I would have all that information recorded. One thing you can use here is that you can use this filter here. So if I open that up and I get it what I'm doing is I'm going to click off the blank. So I don't want any of the blank cells there. And so when I go to look at the spreadsheet, I'm not looking at all these extra customers down below. I'm just looking at the customers here that I know I have. Right? So just all these customers I would leave these blank usually. Yeah, that information is just there. So I have room to add more customers. But that just makes the spreadsheet unnecessarily large. So by filtering out the blanks, why is this doing that? By filtering out the blanks, I only have to look at the stuff that I'm dealing with here. So just let that come in. And there we go. So anything that's you don't see it still calculates that. It's just hidden from view. So I can just take a look at my sales for Tuesday here, and all this is here. Hasn't touched, done the same for Friday, I mean. So Friday's the same thing. I'm only looking at what's been sold. I always try to take filters off. I just use those for review, because if you've got something in a hidden cell and you can't see it, then your calculations will be off if there's something there that shouldn't be. So once again, this is all auto-fed into the next week, so those are all there. And same thing in a subsequent week, if I change, my sunflower goes to a 9-day cycle, it's going to change all that for me. So in the subsequent weeks, that's all going to be on 9-day cycles as well. And that actually goes on a weekly basis, not bi-weekly like the other one does. So just change that back. So that's how we use the spreadsheet, basically. We're just basically putting in our expected orders or standing orders according to the bag size, which is either large or small, or a tray in some cases. And it calculates basically based on our projected yield, how much we should sow. And that's the point of this spreadsheet. How much should we sow? So if we were to have projections about wanting to increase our customer base as the season went on, whether it's restaurants, grocers, or farmers markets, we could build from this spreadsheet a calculator to decide how much of each type of seed we're going to use. And that's just a little more advanced, but it's not actually too difficult. So it's a good, powerful spreadsheet for planning and accuracy, and just to make sure you're making good use of your trays. If you don't sow enough trays, you won't have enough to meet customer demands. If you sow too many trays, you're going to waste them. So what we're trying to do is just try to be as precise as we can. So that's a summary of how to use this spreadsheet. Play with it a little bit, mess it around, see what works for you, what doesn't, and make some changes yourself. And yeah, good luck with that, and keep me posted on any glitches you find or any improvements you've made. I do expect that people will be improving on this spreadsheet, so have at it. Thanks a lot.